Episode 3 of Territory begins with Marshall, Rich, and Sharni following the stolen Marianne cattle. Susie tells Emily about Colin beating up Graham and wishes they could do something. However, Emily claims they can only move on. At the same time, Colin creates a grave for Daniel where he was killed. He then berates Graham after Emily leaves in Sandra's helicopter. He is further angry that Campbell has become president and is messing with them by canceling their hay delivery. Meanwhile, Sandra offers Emily a deal. She has grown up in Australia and it is her home, so she wants to take care of it. She offers Emily her pastoral lands, and when the woman refuses, she shares her actual motive. She wants to take over Marianne's debt in exchange for turning it into a corporation with the majority of the shares belonging to the Lawsons. As for the trio, they see that the thieves are so influential that they have bribed government officials at checkpoints to let the stolen Marianne cattle pass. Rich wants to steal both the trucks, but Marshall is scared and convinces him to only steal one truck. Annoyed, Rich makes the call to the butcher, Vernon, while watching Marshall and Sharni chatting. In truth, Marshall hopes Sharni will leave with him once they are done with the score. At Nolan's station, Detsy is frustrated with the menial work. Nolan scolds him and shares how they have it tough and life is unfair since they aren't accepted by the white people or the Aboriginal community. But when he leaves, Detsy teams up with Bryce and the Aboriginal cattle owners who still haven't been paid by Nolan. They take Nolan's truck, drive through Lawson land as they claim it is their land, and hunt. Next, they visit Daniel's grave and find the mysterious gunman, Elton. He is a recluse and asks for food in return for Daniel's saddle. He also shares that the horse and saddle was found on Hodge's land. Meanwhile, Nolan is busy meeting up with Sandra, who is done with Emily. Her plans for him involve a port since he owns the coastal land. Initially, he is hesitant as he recalls his family's history with the land and how the white people used to exploit them. But when he heads home, he sees his truck is a mess and he lashes out at Detsy. He is further upset when he sees that Detsy has Daniel's saddle. He confronts Bryce, but the old man calls him out for abandoning his people for white people's validation. Detsy too rejects him and breaks the truck's window. Frustrated, he takes up Sandra's offer to build a port on his land. Back in the woods, Rich picks a fight with Marshall as he sees him eyeing Sharni. He feels betrayed by the two even if they haven't acted on his feelings and tells Marshall to leave. After Marshall leaves, he tells Sharni to leave as well if she wants, but after they are done with the stolen cattle. Emily comes home to Colin berating her for entertaining Sandra. She tries to tell him about Sandra's offer, but he refuses, telling Graham about Emily's deal with him to include Susie in exchange for Marshall. The two continue to argue as he refuses to listen to Emily, who tries to explain how Sandra's offer may be good for them. Colin kicks her out and she storms off when she sees Graham siding with his father. Emboldened, Colin tells him that it is up to them to carry on the Lawson legacy as everyone else is out to get them, including Emily, who is a Hodge by blood. Elsewhere, Susie, Lachie, and Hank head to a bull auction for Marianne. Susie hopes to have a more active role at the station and even goes head-to-head with Campbell and buys a lot of prized bulls with her college grant money. To celebrate, all of them head to the bar. Hank's son, Ethan, picks a fight with Lachie for being too preppy, but the latter gets a couple of punches and before Emily arrives and breaks them up. Excited to be part of Susie's world, Lachie kisses her and they hook up in her car. At the same time, Campbell and Emily flirt and seem to be having a good time. As for the stolen cattle, Vernon rats out Rich and the thieves corner him and Sharni. They believe Rich is Marshall and try to kill him. Rich and Sharni hide till Marshall shows up and creates a distraction. Rich is separated from them and Marshall takes off with Sharni at his behest. Meanwhile, Nolan shows up at the Lawsons with Daniel's saddle and tells Graham about finding it on Hodge land. However, he refuses to get into family drama only to head home and find that Detsy has set his truck on fire. As for Graham, he heads to the bar with a rifle and points it at Hank as he believes he killed Daniel. Hank calls his bluff, believing that Graham is too weak. At the end of Territory Episode 3, Graham pulls the trigger just as Susie tries to stop him. Territory Episode 3 finally picks things up and keeps viewers glued to the screen. We almost lost hope with that boring beginning as the Netflix show kept focusing on setting up the premise, pre-established dynamics, rivalries, and family history. Well, with all that out of the way, it seems that we can finally guess which direction the story is headed. Sandra is trying to monopolize the Northern Territory by taking control from the three biggest players, Lawson, Campbell, and Nolan. Someone is out to get Marshall, and it doesn't help that his relationship with Rich has finally exploded. Graham, though, is currently a deadweight and Bro needs to quickly do something other than mope around.